Hi, guys. We're live. Let me know if you can hear me okay, see me okay. Welcome, welcome. Got a few people here so far. I'm going to post a prompt to the chat like I usually do. This one's going to be a little different. Okay. So if you guys, I thought it would be fun to ask people, gonna pin it. Yeah, I just thought it would be fun since this is the 5,000 subscriber live stream. I thought it would be fun to hear if people remember when they first subscribed or what video of mine they first saw, because I feel like we're going to have people from all different eras of Totally Forkable. It's been so nice here the past few days. I am in heaven after weeks and weeks of absolute swamp. We have had like the most gorgeous past few days. High 60s, low 70s, breezy, amazing. I'm living. Already vegan. Hi, welcome. Getting the chat started. Drinking a lemon berry kombucha. GTs. Welcome, guys. A bunch of people just joined. Sandfd. Pardon my pronunciation. Hello. Film Blanc. Hi. Hi, Paul. Zach, welcome. Hi, at least since early 2020, but hard to remember. The earliest comment I've found was from that time. That's crazy, Zach, because I started my channel in 2019. So early 2020 is like pretty much the beginning. Hey, Dindin Masker V. Hello, nice to hear the weather has been nice. Yes, it's been such a relief. You guys will not have to hear me complaining about the weather for much longer. Paul said for me, 2016, pre-Totally Forkable. Sanft, I can't remember which one, but it was one of your Good Vegan News videos earlier this year. I think we're going to have a lot of people that came from a Good Vegan News video. I've been talking about this on my Patreon voice note podcast episodes. I have been having a really hard time lately saying the word vegan. And it's kind of a new thing that like my mouth just doesn't want to say the word. But is it not kind of an awkward word to say? Like vegan, it's like kind of really awkward to say. So if you hear me stumbling over it today, that's why. Holland Bell, hi. I subscribed a few months ago, maybe around the responding to ex-vegans video. Nice. Taylor Hardaway, welcome. First video I saw was about dairy checkoffs like 2 months ago. Interesting. I wonder if that was the Aubrey Plaza one or the Dr. Barnard one, or there's probably many others that could be. Interesting to hear. Yeah, just thought that would be fun, and it has been fun so far. So obviously this stream is going to be focused kind of on Totally Forkable and the whole Totally Forkable journey. So I have kind of like different topics around that I want to go over, but also if you guys have any questions at any time, feel free to ask them and I'll answer them. You know, I'll fit them in where they make the most sense. Yes, Zach, that was the one. This is the first video where I can find my comment, things I thought were vegan but aren't. So Zach made a really funny comment on that video because in that video, I was living at my parents' house and I was sitting on the bed and one of my cats, who I think we had just gotten her around that time, kept crossing in front of the video frame and her tail like hooks like this. So just imagine this like hooked tail. It just kept crossing back and forth. And I like commented on it. I was like, hopefully this won't keep happening. And then Zach commented, cue the Jaws music, which I thought was really funny. And then I made a little edit of that and I put it on Instagram. And I didn't realize until recently that was Zach because he had a different username back then. So it's a classic. It's a classic Totally Forkable comment. Love the Good Vegan News. God knows we vegans need good vegan news. Totally agree. That's one of the biggest reasons I wanted to do it. And I feel like the more time that goes on, like the more and more we need good news or good vegan news. See there, I just didn't say it right. Vegan. Let me know if it's just me, because I have been struggling. So yeah, I wanted to talk about my totally forkable journey in terms of in a few different ways. Um, it says a lot that vegans are into good news more than the general public. This is true. This is true. Why I feel like we also tend to need it more because we're so inundated with bad news and bad things. Um, but I thought it would be interesting to start out talking with the trajectory and the journey of my subscribers because it's pretty interesting. So basically it was about 5 years to get 5,000 subscribers. So I feel like that kind of seems like okay, like about 1,000 subscribers a year, but it absolutely was not like that. It was not even like that at all. And so I wanted to share sort of some calculations that I did because I find it really interesting. So I launched Totally Forkable. I also want to say there were some questions from that someone had left or had asked on the last live stream, and I was like, I'm going to save those to do on the 5,000 subscriber live stream. So I will be answering those after I talk about this. First one I saw was the good vegan news about John Oliver. Yeah, that was the first good vegan news that got a lot of views. Um, so yeah, I want to go back, take you guys back to 2019 when I launched Totally Forkable. So I launched Totally Forkable May 21st, 2019. And obviously I had 0 subscribers at that time. I got to 1,000 subscribers December 3rd, 2020. So it took me a year and 7 months to get from 0 to 1,000, which is it's like not the longest time, not the shortest time. I'd say that's like a pretty decent amount of time or a pretty reasonable amount of time. Some people like there's everyone likes to share the anecdote that it took Mr. Beast 5 years to get to 1,000 subscribers, which is kind of crazy. Um, okay, so a year and 7 months to go from 0 to 1,000. Then wait. Okay, yeah. Then to get from 1 to 2,000 subscribers, it took me until May 13th, 2023. So between 1 and 2,000 subscribers, it took 2 years and 7 months. That was a long time. That was a very long stretch. That was like it felt like I was never going to get to 2,000. So from 0 to 2,000, 4 years and 2 months, basically, altogether. So then got to 2,000 May 13th, 2023. Got to 3,000 February 1st, 2024. So 8.5 months to go from 2 to 3,000, which I was very happy about. I was like, oh my God, that was like very fast, especially compared to from 1 to 2. And then a few months later, on April 12th, 2024 of this year, I got to 4,000. So that was 2.5 months. And then on July 12th of this year, I got to 5,000. So that was 3 months. So obviously my channel trajectory was like pretty slow and then very slow. And then everything started going a little crazy like in the last year. And that was thanks to, I think, a few different videos and a few different things. Definitely Good Vegan News helped a lot with that. So basically, it's around 5,000 subscribers in 5 years. But the last 3,000 of those have been in the last 14 months. So I just thought that was kind of interesting of the trajectory, obviously a lot of patience required and very slow at first and then fast, which I think is probably better than the opposite, being like very fast at the beginning and then significantly slowing down. Dindin Masker V I just went in your videos trying to find the oldest trace of me, and it might be the Great British Bake Off video from 2 years ago. That sounds about right. I think sometimes, like, if I click on someone, I can see their comment history on my channel, but I don't know if I can do that right now. But yeah, that sounds about when I remember seeing you hanging around. Already vegan. Hopefully, it will take off from here. Thank you. So yeah, it's definitely been a very rewarding last year in the sense of things have just been happening quickly, especially thanks to the good vegan news videos. It's like when I post one of those, usually the subscribers are just like going up, and so that's been nice. Samuel Black Metal Rider, let's go, Marielle. Thank you, Samuel. Are you someone I know in real life? I'm like, there's maybe someone I can think of that could be. Your content is very forkable. I'm sure many people will join. Thank you. That's the goal. So the comment that, or the question, or the questions that someone had asked on the last live stream was, what inspired you to start YouTube? Is this your first channel? How many hours do you spend making videos? So these are pretty common questions I get, especially like if I have had YouTube channels before this, and also about like the name Totally Forkable and how I chose the name. So I want to answer all of that, and kind of just do a journey, everyone's favorite word, not a vegan journey, but a YouTube journey, because Totally Forkable is not my first YouTube channel. It's not even my second or third YouTube channel. There's a lot of history with me and YouTube. Zach, do you remember when you got a community tab? I do remember that. I was so excited to get the community tab. I think the community tab was introduced maybe around the time I started Totally Forkable, but I think you had to have 1,000 subscribers before you got one. So yes, I was really excited to get the community tab because, like, obviously it's the only way you could make a post, like a Facebook post type of thing, on YouTube. And yeah, it was like 1,000 subscribers is when you can get monetized if you reach your watch hours, and then getting the community tab. So that was like a very big milestone. Samuel Black Metal Rider says, though your name is so French, you're not and I am. I'm the Parisian guy. Love your positive content, tongue-in-cheek vibe. Awesome. So cool to have a Parisian here. I don't know if we've ever had one before, but were you there for the Olympics? Was it exciting? I know a lot of Parisians left Paris, but I very much enjoyed watching from home. Hexic Dragon, hi. Feel free to answer the prompt if you care to. It's a lower threshold now. I have 33 subs and have had a community tab for a while. Okay, interesting. Yeah, YouTube tends to change the metrics and the goalposts, and you used to not even have to have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours to get monetized. Yeah, that's a whole other story. I had an old channel that was monetized and then got demonetized because of some stuff that happened with YouTube, but I won't go into all of that. But I do want to get started on my YouTube journey and backstory. So it goes back pretty far. Basically, in the early 2010s, as some of you know, I was living in Los Angeles, and I was an actor. I was pursuing acting. And kind of around that time was the early YouTube boom, I would say, like the first generation of people being like YouTubers, and people kind of realizing like, whoa, these people who like I've never heard of before are on YouTube, and they have like hundreds of thousands of subscribers, but I've never heard their name before, but they're making a ton of money. So it was this kind of thing that people knew about, but I didn't really watch YouTube or have much interest in it back then. Guilfaw, only a couple or few months for me. It was the good vegan news. Nice. Hexic Dragon, I just came across your channel yesterday. Awesome. I just saw you were promoting good vegan news, so I knew I had to subscribe. LOL. Thank you. There's never enough positivity in the movement. I agree. Already Vegan says, I think I've been subscribed for a couple of years at least. not exactly sure when or which video. Sorry, that's okay. Some people like specifically remember because they're like, oh, it was your, this random thing. So yeah, so there's this early YouTube boom that I was kind of aware of, but wasn't really interested in. Um, but also around that time, if you were an actor living in LA, or probably living anywhere, but I know in LA specifically, everyone started talking about creating your own content and creating your own work and sort of creating your own opportunities to act that don't require you to get a job or to get hired by someone else. And especially because at that time was, people were using iPhone cameras more, and you could buy a camera for pretty reasonable price, and you could just edit yourself in iMovie. So there was this whole push of like creating your own content. So I had a group of friends in LA that started their own like sketch comedy uh YouTube group. So they would write and act in and produce YouTube videos that were sort of these like sketch comedy short form, which I think was a pretty big format on YouTube back then. Also, like Funny or Die, they would post their stuff on Funny or Die. Funny or Die was very popular back then. So I was in a few of their sketches, like they would have me in some of their stuff. And so that was kind of how I got exposed just to the format of YouTube and like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like some people are creating their own content. And I was always very impressed by what they did, but it seemed pretty daunting and kind of like a lot of work. I wasn't sure if it would necessarily be for me, but I was definitely very inspired by them. Um, and I had also around this time, I started watching YouTube more and getting more into uh, just like getting familiar with YouTubers and watching and like understanding the format of even something like vlogging, like learning what vlogging was and being like, oh, I really enjoy watching these. Um, and and I had a YouTube account, like because you pretty much have to have a YouTube account to watch YouTube video. I mean, you don't have to, but it's a lot easier if you do. That I had posted like my acting reel on. So I had a YouTube, I guess, a channel, but it was just for like my private purposes. Cinnamon, welcome. Thank you. So then this was about 2015, and this is also incidentally the year that I went vegan or came back to being vegan. If you haven't watched my vegan journey video, I explain all of that there. And so I finally decided that I wanted to start a YouTube channel where I could write and act in my own sort of like comedy videos to have it be a showcase for me as an actor. So that's what I did. I started a YouTube channel and I would do these comedy sketches. I hired someone to help me film them. And I learned how to edit. So I edited them all myself. And then I would also do like woman on the street segments where I would interview people on the streets of LA, which is funny because now that's such a big format. It's like everyone on TikTok and Instagram do that, but it was kind of a little more rare back then. But that channel kind of just blossomed into this grab bag of different types of content. Like it was some vlogs, it was some comedy sketches, woman on the street, like just everything. I mean, it kind of just turned into like, oh, I'll just try this and I'll just try that. So it was a little unfocused. But toward the end of that channel, I also started doing vegan content on there because I was just like, oh, this is something I'm interested in. And I started posting vegan content because I was also watching some vegan content at that time. And so, yeah, that channel just kind of was a mixture of things. And then another step in my YouTube journey, even though it wasn't a channel that I had, but it was an important step in my journey. At that time, living in LA, I was looking for a job. I had been waiting tables for a long time, like had been working in restaurants most of my time in LA, and I wanted to do something else. So I applied for a video editor position at this like new media company. And because I had mostly only edited my own YouTube channel at that point, I submitted it as like evidence of my editing. Or I guess like my portfolio of editing. And they let me know that they actually were more interested in me as a content creator to create content for them. So they were just getting started. It was basically this media company that was funding a few different channels. So one of the channels hired me. It was supposed to be this like female empowerment channel aimed at women, like college aged young women. So they hired me to make a few videos. I made a few videos, and then they were like, "We are, we're going to do a series, a weekly series, and it's going to be a listicle series." So for those of you not familiar with the listicle format, it was a very popular format back in the day. It was like, um, like top 5 this and like top 10 action movies of the 2000s. It was just like lists. Everyone was into lists. It was like the BuzzFeed lists, and that format had transitioned to YouTube, and so it was very popular. So like, we want to do a listicle series, and we are looking for a host, and we want you to audition to host. So I had to make a few sample videos of them, writing them, hosting them, and editing them, and they ended up hiring me for that. So that was, I started doing that, and those videos, the format of those and kind of like the energy of them were very similar to how my Good Vegan News videos are now, which is really just like interesting, cool. That's why I said it's like very relevant to my YouTube journey, because I definitely got the practice there of like writing a script, um, having it be like information joke, that kind of thing, and just like being in that hosting kind of space. um so I loved doing that. It was so much fun. I was getting paid like what I felt like was a lot of money. Like, I just couldn't believe someone was paying me to create content. It felt like a dream come true. But unfortunately, that because it was new media and everything was like the Wild West at that time, even more so than today, there was just a lot of like internal disagreements at the like umbrella company that the channels were under. And the one of the head people from the media company had a big disagreement with the girls who owned the IP for the channel that I was working on, and he was like, "We're shutting it down." So that got shut down. It was like 5 months later. So that sucked. That was really shitty. Sky's here. Hey, Sky. Hey, stopping in to say congratulations. Thank you so much, Sky. I really appreciate you. Um, Zach, I remember top 10 videos well. I didn't know they were called listicles. Yeah, I didn't either. What a cute little name, huh? Samuel said, which vegan YouTubers do you follow, get inspiration from? Well, other than Sky Vegan, of course. That's actually something I want to talk about later, because I have talked about this before, that I don't really watch vegan YouTubers that much. And I've talked about why, and I've explained why in the past. But I thought it would be fun to share like what channels I do watch actively, because it's really random. So anyway, so okay, so that job ended. I was disappointed about it, but then one of the producers that I had been working with on that channel, we had become friends, and we just felt like there was more content that we could create, just stuff that we wanted to do that we never got to finish. So we started our own channel. So that's now my second channel. And this channel was like very random, but it was mostly Bachelor recaps, because The Bachelor was really, really popular at the time. And so we basically just did like Bachelor recaps, which was very silly. Um, Sky says, you're amazing. Keep up your good vibes and energy. Thank you guys so much. If you don't follow Sky, vegan, of course, and you're looking for other vegans to watch live, he goes live every day, twice a day. I think he's still doing that. And he does activism for PETA. So a lot of interesting stuff on his channel. And I've gone live with him a few times. And so, yes, friend of the channel. Let's see. Okay, so we started this other channel, but probably we had that for like 6 months or so. So then I moved back to the East Coast. This is around the time that my boyfriend and I had started dating. Paul, many of you know. Um, so during the time Paul and I were dating long distance, I was in LA, he was in New York when we first started dating, and we started a blog at that time called Two Vegan Lovers. So it was um, basically the premise was when I would visit him in New York or when he would visit me in LA, we would go to vegan, like we'd be like, "Oh, I'm so excited to take you to this vegan restaurant or try this new vegan restaurant on like the different coasts." And so the whole premise of that was just like our long distance relationship and us going to restaurants and writing reviews. So that was fun. And then I started an Instagram for it, and eventually I started a YouTube channel for Two Vegan Lovers. So that's now my third third YouTube channel if you're keeping track. But yeah, I moved back to the East Coast, and then I just found myself really enjoying making vegan content as opposed to I still had my first channel and I was still making content for that, but I just found like I was always inspired by vegan content, and I just felt like there was always something to talk about. Whereas with what I was doing with writing sketch comedy and this, it was just like constantly needed to come up with new inspiration. So that was like my first taste of making vegan content. And that was like probably 2017. Um, and that Instagram and YouTube are still up if you want to check those out, Two Vegan Lovers. And yeah, but the thing is, like, Paul wasn't really interested in being, like, a couple like, a content creation couple. He definitely I mean, he was just, like he was down for it, like, he was supportive, but he wasn't, like, interested in really being on camera, or he wasn't doing any of the filming or he was doing some of the filming, but none of the editing, so it was mostly just me doing it. And then I was like, why am I like doing Two Vegan Lovers when it's basically just me? Like I should just start my own channel. So it was like at this point I had some subscribers there. We had some subscribers there. I had about 500 subscribers on my original channel. But at this point I was like, I just want to start fresh. I just want to start a whole new channel that's just me talking about veganism, or a channel about veganism. Um, And like looking back, I actually talked with Sky about this when I went live with him the first time. A part of me was like, now I'm like, why didn't I just take my channel that had 500 subscribers and turn that into a vegan channel? Um, but the reason was at the time that I was still like kind of wanting to not close the door on acting and like that type of content creation either. I still wanted that to be like a standalone showcase of me as an actor, and then have the vegan channel be something different. So I'm glad I did it ultimately. But yeah, so that's when I decided to launch Totally Forkable. It was 2019. And originally, like my original concept for Totally Forkable was that I kind of wanted it to be like a mix of like recipe videos, vlogs, especially travel vlogs because I was traveling for work at the time, low waste, zero waste content. That was like one of the sort of the focuses of my channel initially because I was really into that at the time. Like I still am. Like I still incorporate a lot of low waste, zero waste uh, things into my life. But at that time, I was just really into that type of content too. And so, yeah, so it was kind of Totally Forkable was kind of just like I was like, I want to do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but it'll all be under the umbrella of vegan and low waste. And then a lot of people have asked me why I named my channel Totally Forkable or how I came up with the name Totally Forkable. Um, And I think someone asked me actually when I was live with Sky on Vegan, of course, one time, and we got sidetracked. I never ended up answering it. Um, JATF says, "Congrats! I'm pretty new to veganism. Love your videos. Think the first one was John Oliver, Good Vegan News. Thank you for your Whole Foods dough and portable Miyoko's pizza suggestion from the last live stream. You are so welcome. I just made a pizza like that the other day. It's amazing. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, the Whole Foods dough that you can buy there, it's like they sell it in the freezer, in the fridge, the open fridge section, like where all their prepared food is. And they have just like a plain dough, and then they have a multi-grain one. They're both really good. And then you want to get Rao's tomato sauce, or Rao's, however you say it. And then you want to get the Miyoko's pourable liquid pizza mozzarella. And then you want to get broccoli rabe. If you like broccoli rabe, you definitely want to get that. And then you put it together, and it's absolutely delicious. Cinnamon says, I'm just here for the Blazers. Very soon, Cinnamon. If you haven't noticed, the temps have been dropping. So if we keep trending this way, then it won't be long before the Blazers come back. Adam says, are potatoes vegan or are they chips? Is that a pun that I'm not getting? I consider potatoes to be vegan. Anybody else? I feel like there's a joke that I'm not getting. Anyway, back to the name, Totally Forkable. Again, getting sidetracked. I also want to say, I always like try to respond to every comment and think I'm responding to every comment except for like obvious troll comments. But sometimes when I watch back, I'll see a comment that I just like did not see. And I'm like, I swear that comment didn't pop up. So if that happens to anyone, I'm very sorry. There's a good chance I just didn't see it, like I said, unless it's a troll comment. Let's see. We need a GoFundMe for Studio AC. Yeah, it's I could put a window unit in here, but I like don't really want to because then you would see it and it would diminish the light. So I'm just suffering. And I wouldn't be able to have it on while I'm filming anyway, so it would still be pretty bad. Sorry, silly joke. Please continue. Matthews M says, Aloha. Aloha. Are you joining from Hawaii? Am I remembering this correctly? William says, hey, first discovered you from one of your London videos, and I'm so glad I did. Love what you do. I love that. I actually have rewatched my London videos recently because it was around this time last year that I was planning for the trip and I was getting nostalgic. And yeah, so I'm really glad that you liked those videos. Matthews, yes, joining from Maui. Awesome. Okay, so let me get back to the channel name, Totally Forkable. So I wanted to do a vegan channel. I knew it was going to be about veganism. When I was brainstorming a lot at work, at the job I worked at the time, and I had a coworker who was also starting a channel around the same time as me. So we were just like, I just kept talking to him like, how about this and how about that? And I was coming up with all these names like the Connecticut vegan and the New England vegan, and none of those really I didn't really feel inspired by any of those. And I also didn't want to do anything where I would feel like, well, now I'm stuck in Connecticut, or like now my channel just will be obsolete if I move somewhere else. So I'm trying to like just think of different types of names, and I wanted the name of my channel to have something signifying that it was a vegan channel, but I wasn't sure I wanted to actually have the word vegan in it. Although, like I said, I just thought of different ideas, tried it out. And so I was thinking, I'm like, well, what else signifies veganism other than the word vegan? See, there we go. I'm having a hard time saying it again. And I was like, okay, well, I started thinking about the company, or the what is it? A brand organization, Forks Over Knives. I'm like, okay, Forks Over Knives. People say like vegan food, you don't need a knife to eat. You can eat it with a fork. And so I was thinking like fork. I'm trying to think of different things of fork. And then I thought of forkable. And I was like, I really like that because it is a word that means something. But then there's also kind of like other meanings, like obviously some people would say fork instead of fuck, and so forkable could mean effable. And there was something about that that I kind of found to be a little bit cheeky in a fun way, especially having to do with how people say like vegans are more attractive, or the different studies or anecdotes over the years about like vegans give off like more pheromones, or like more attractive pheromones or whatever. And I was like, well, that's kind of fun. Like that makes veganism seem appealing. And then I was like, okay, forkable. And then I was like, somehow the phrase totally forkable popped into my head. And I was like, I really like this. I just really liked how it sounded. And it's a little bit like totally forkable. And I have a little valley girl in me. And so I just felt like it fit my personality. Um, but honestly, when I thought of it, I was like, um, when I first thought of it, I was like, that would be a good name for a series on another channel, like a cooking series on another channel. I was envisioning some like BuzzFeed tasty type of channel, like having a series on there about vegan cooking called Totally Forkable. So in my mind, even though I liked the name, I was like, I put it aside of like, oh, that'll be a series that I maybe pitch to another channel one day. And then after a while, I was just like, what? Like, why? Why would you like save this idea that you really like for something else potentially in the future? Um, or I thought that could be like a series within my channel, whatever I ended up naming it. But then it was just like, I just didn't think of anything that I liked better than Totally Forkable. And so that's why I went with it. And I made my decision, and that's what it was. Um, And it's funny because I feel like I don't even know what people think when they hear it. Like, I feel like for me, I've been saying it for so long. It's been around for so long that I don't even really think about like, what does it mean? Or what it just is. It's like thinking of a band name like Blink 182 or Destiny's Child, where at first you're like, what does that mean? But then after a while, you're just like, oh, Destiny's Child. You don't even think about what the name means. That's kind of how I feel about Totally Forkable. And it's funny because I have had like I had a comment once that was like, your channel kept popping up for me, or your videos kept popping up for me, but I kept avoiding them because I hated your channel name. But now that I've watched your videos, I'm so happy I did, and I wished I had sooner. So I was like, it was like good, but also not great. And like, thanks for screwing up my click through rate there. No, I'm just kidding. But I just found that interesting at that point. I was like, are people not clicking because they don't like the name of my channel? And I had someone comment recently, or like within the last 6 months, be like, maybe time to change your channel name so it's not a sexual innuendo. And then I just responded, why? And then they never responded. So I like it, and I'm keeping it for now. I think like it's maybe a little bit more food focused, whereas my channel has moved away from food content and like recipe content, but I still like it. All right, I'm going to catch up on chat now. Cinnamon says, in case there are any touring bands, just want to shout Providence Vegan Deli has free food for touring bands. That's awesome. Yeah, Cinnamon, you were the one who told me about Providence Vegan Deli. And I've heard other people say that they like it, or I've seen other people like reviewing it on Instagram. It looks good. Delusional moron said, a V is a two-pronged fork. Good point. Carnism is Cancer says, congrats. Thank you so much. Zach says, confirmed. Forkable sounds like what I thought it sounded like. Do you mean with the innuendo? SONFD says, it's a very good name, IMO. Thank you so much. And yeah, I've also had people like, as much as I've had people, or, you know, the couple times I've had people say they didn't like it, when Merle O'Neill shared my video, she like talked about my video about the Miyoko's drama in one of her videos, where she recreated the Miyoko's mozzarella. But she said she said it was a great name, so that made me feel good. Now I'm wondering where Destiny's Child came from. LOL, right? Sky, I'm taking the word vegan out of my name. I don't think you should, nor do I think you will. Imagine, it's just of course. Meteors Mother Forkers unite. Indeed. Um, Stewie says, "When your channel popped up, I thought the name was you getting catcalled and misheard them." That's funny. Yeah, also that show, The Good Place, um, kinda came out, like, around that time, and in The Good Place, the premise is that they're in heaven and, like, they can't swear, so in the first episode, Kristen Bell's character is, like, trying to be like, "Oh, F," but instead of saying fuck, she says fork, and, like, she can't not say fork, so I was like, "I hope people don't think it's, like, a Good Place reference because that's definitely not what it is." Cinnamon says, "Just curious, does producer Paul like/watch slash watch the channel?" I don't know, Paul, you wanna weigh in? I think he likes it. I hope so. He does watch he watches yeah, I think he watches most of my videos, kind of like he just, like, watches them on his own time when he, like, has time and wants to. Um, but yeah, he's very supportive. I think with the interesting thing when you start a YouTube channel, I think in the beginning, like for me in 2015, when I started my first one, I was like sending it to all my friends and family. And I was like, here you go, guys. Like, here it is. And like expecting them to like be my first subscribers and fans and also sharing it like on my personal Facebook and stuff. And I think that's it's not a mistake, but it's just like your friends and family aren't really going to be the fans of your channel or the viewers of your channel. Like for me, especially in 2015, my friends and family like didn't even know what YouTube was. And so I'm being like, "Hey guys, watch my like I may as well have been being like, watch my schmarkum stuff." You know what I mean? They're like, "What? Watch your what?" And maybe some friends and family like my videos and watch my videos, but I learned early on like not to expect the people in my life to give a shit about my channel, to be completely honest, because subscribers and viewers and stuff like normally like you will find them out there somewhere, which is good because you want it to be people that like genuinely were attracted to your channel for a reason. Yeah, also wanted to talk about sort of the evolution of Totally Forkable. For those of you who have been here for a few years, it has undergone a bit of an evolution. It's always been about veganism and like I said, a lot of some low waste stuff in the beginning. But yeah, it was definitely kind of a grab bag in the beginning. It was a little bit of this, a little bit of that, like food service reviews, an air fryer review. I always joke about the air fryer review because it's my most viewed video on my channel, which is very weird, very bizarre. Um, and it was just like a lot of random things, but I felt like in the beginning, I wanted to do that because I felt like I could. Like, I don't yet have an audience that's expecting a specific thing from me. But um, so I'm just gonna kind of play around and see what works. But then when my air fryer review took off, I was like, well, I'm not gonna be an appliance review channel. I mean, should I? I don't know. I mean, that was very kind of confusing. Um, Adam says, "How much money does your channel make?" This is a good question. It honestly it varies month to month and like depending on if videos have done well, but not a ton of money. I would say like under $200 a month. Um, and that's mostly from AdSense. In the past, I've done like some affiliate things like affiliate links, especially with the air fryer video. I had affiliate links with that through Amazon. And then I now have Patreon, which has been great. But yeah, I don't know, maybe not as much as people would think, maybe more than people would think. I don't know. So yeah, so like I said in the beginning, it was very much a grab bag. Like vlogs, cooking videos, low waste tips and tricks, vegan fashion, skincare, vegan food delivery reviews. Then I started doing more sit down types of videos. Um, I got really into watching video essays on YouTube, and I was like, I'd like to do that. I think I'd be good at that. So the first video essay I did was the Chick-fil-A ads video where I talked about the Chick-fil-A cow ads. Um, and I really, that video was a lot of work, but I was really proud of it. And it was very satisfying format. And I was like, oh, I thought I would like this. And it turns out that I do. Adam says, interesting. Thanks for the answer. Zach says, I just read on Wikipedia, Destiny's Child was originally Girls' Time. Oh my God, terrible. I mean, they literally were girls when they started it, but I like Destiny's Child better. Actually, Sky and I talked about this on his live stream because I mentioned that like Destiny's Child, how you just don't really think. Like I remember hearing, I just specifically remember being like 7 years old in the like sitting in the car with my dad and hearing like this is the new one from Destiny's Child, and I was like, what? I don't even think I knew what the word destiny meant. So I was like, what's child? And then after a while, it just became just I don't even think about it, but I think it means it's like like you're the child of like this is what was always destined to happen. Like we were always destined to be famous. I don't know. That's how I see it, how I read it. When you get the big bucks, sponsors don't forget us. Never. You know what's interesting? Something I was thinking about when I had like 1 to 2,000 subscribers, I would get more companies reaching out to me than I do now, which is just kind of interesting. And it could be for a few different reasons. Like it could just be that like the landscape has changed and not like companies reaching out to sponsor. I guess I've had 2 companies reach out to sponsor, but yeah, in the beginning, when I had less like significantly less subscribers, I had more companies reaching out. But I think that's because I was doing more like product and service centric videos in the beginning. Like I said, the air fryer review or like reviewing low waste products or like meal services and things like that. So my content back then lent itself to companies wanting to partner up more back then than my content now does. Will there ever be a live event in person at like a restaurant or brewery? You mean like a meetup? Well, Cinnamon, we tried to do a meetup at Rhode Island Veg Fest. I'm just kidding. We talked about it, meeting up. Cinnamon couldn't make it. But yeah, I feel like maybe like a vegan festival, like a local vegan festival. Compassion Fest in Connecticut is in October, and I'm like 95% sure that I'll be going. So maybe Compassion Fest. Zach, please don't say, and speaking of, to introduce a sponsor. In my humble opinion, it's better to start a sponsored message directly. Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of thoughts on sponsored videos and what works. And I've even on the Patreon voice note episodes, I have talked a little bit about like Earthling Ed has done this a few times. Like there's nothing wrong with it. Like there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing a sponsorship. And obviously you need to, try to find like a non-disruptive way to introduce the sponsor. But there will be videos where it's like, he's talking about like his struggles being a vegan and being like, yeah, it can even be hard to find, like, this is just one specific example I'm thinking of. It can even be hard to find, things like toiletries and, vegan toothpaste. Speaking of vegan toothpaste, I'm so excited to have my sponsor. And then it was like, so that I felt was a little bit like, I don't like sort of inventing a struggle to get you to the sponsor message. Like that feels, it just makes it feel a little bit disingenuous. That's just my opinion. But, honestly, I feel with people that I creators that I follow or whatever, I really don't mind a well-placed sponsored segment. I will even watch them if it's someone I like watching and they're doing it in their own way. They're putting their own creative twist on it and it fits with their content. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll fucking watch it. I don't know if I'll use the code necessarily, but maybe I will. Um can you speak in a British accent for the rest of the stream, please? LOL. I don't know about that, William. That's a very interesting request. I wonder why you would like me to do that. Actually, not to brag, so when I was in college, I did a semester abroad in London with an acting program, and we had a dialects class where we learned different British dialects. And at the end of the semester, we had our reviews with all the professors, and the dialects professor said that I was the best at dialects in the whole class, in the whole group that was there. So careful what you wish for. I'll whip out my my dialects from a very long time ago. 15 years ago? No. 16 years ago? That sounds right. What would you prefer, that your YouTube channel explodes to plus 100K subs and hundreds of thousands of views, or your acting career thriving? Interesting question. Um, Interesting question. Probably at this point, probably that my YouTube channel would blow up. I'm not still pursuing acting. It's definitely something that I think about sometimes. It's a very strange thing when you have a dream for a long time and then you're no longer pursuing it and it feels like it'll always be a part of you. And I do feel like it's something that I could go back to one day, but actually having, unfortunately or fortunately, having a social media following at this point is very, um, it could only help you in your acting career in terms of getting indoors, getting representation, etc. So I think I would prefer that because YouTube is what's great about it is you have complete control over it. You own your content, and so yeah, I think I'd prefer that. Wait, what? Struggle way. I'm not sure I understand what that means. What other accents do you have? Southern Australian, Russian, etc. I really don't have I really don't have many accents. I'm really good at mimicking. So if I hear a tape or recording of someone doing it, I can mimic it really well right away. Pulling it out of the hat, I don't know. I don't have as much faith in that. Okay, so yeah, so back to the evolution of Totally Forkable content. So yeah, the Chick-fil-A video was the first time I did sort of a sit down video essay format. And like I said, really enjoyed it. And then I started doing more of those. And so for a long time, my channel was very video essay focused, which probably a lot of you guys remember. But I kind of want to talk about the Good Vegan News evolution in particular, because since a lot of you guys are here because of Good Vegan News, and since Good Vegan News has really helped my channel a lot in the last 6 months, really, I thought it would be interesting to talk about the history of Good Vegan News. So the channel, my original YouTube channel that I had since 2015, as I said, I started doing more vegan content toward the end of that channel. And although, like I said, that channel was such a grab bag that it was I had some subscribers from these types of videos. I had some subscribers from those types of videos. So I was just fuck it, I'll just do some vegan content. And one of the things I did was Good Vegan News. It's very different, very, very different from how they are today. But it's literally started out because I used to check veg news a few times a week just to just to give some good news, just to find some good news for myself to help me feel better about the state of the world, especially as it relates to animals. And then I was like, well, if I enjoy this, other people would possibly enjoy it too. So I'm gonna do good, I'm gonna do a video about this. Um, and so I did it again on my old channel that I had from 2015. This was probably in like 2017, 18 that I did this. And like I did maybe 3 of them and they didn't get many views. It would actually be really fun for me to like react to some of those. Um, but yeah, like I said, the subscribers from that channel were from so many different things that I don't necessarily think people were there for good vegan news. So then when I started Totally Forkable, I was like, maybe I should do that again at some point. And I did it like the first one, maybe 2 years into having my channel. I did a good vegan news video and I did a few like sprinkled in throughout. And the people who watched them always really seemed to like them and people responded well to them. Um, but they didn't really get many views. And so I kind of just thought like, all right, people are like, I'll do these once in a while, but people aren't really like loving these. Um, and then it wasn't until, I had done one in December of last year. And then I did one in February of this year, which was like, pretty close together. It was like 2 or 3, 2 months apart. And that was the one where I talked about John Oliver and had John Oliver in the thumbnail. And also talked about Pal World and had Pal World in the thumbnail. So I think there were just multiple things that people really cared about. And that video got a lot of views, significantly more views than my other good vegan news videos had gotten, and more views than most of my videos have been getting. And so, so that's when I was like, okay, people like this, people want more. I'm happy to do more. And um, then I totally changed the format. So I was like, because that one I had just been sitting down and talking, and then I was like, oh, let me be like a, over the top reporter. And so that next one I did was like really over the top. And I think most people really liked it. A few people were like, I preferred the old format. And so I think now I've found kind of a nice balance of like they've toned down the over the top reporter vibes a little bit, but it still has the same like fun energy. And so yeah, hopefully you guys are liking that format because I think it's the one I'm going to stay with. And the other thing that's so funny is like good vegan news videos are like, I'm not going to say they're way easier, but they're definitely a bit easier in terms of like time investment than like a video essay. So when people are like, we want more of this, I'm like, okay, great. That works for me because, it's a less time consuming format. And now that I do it with like the reporter and the multiple locations in my house, it takes a lot of time. But that leads into another question that someone had, or the person that asked me this on the last stream was wondering how much time I put into my videos. So I would say it's an average of 20 hours. So including research, scripting, filming, that's usually all around 10 hours. And then it's about 10 hours of editing. So it's a big time commitment in my week. And yeah, that answers that. I was going to ask if you had a background in acting or comedy. All makes sense now. Thank you. Yes, and like I mentioned, I'm not sure if you were here for this part, but I was hired to do a series on an older YouTube channel that was very similar to Good Vegan News. So I think that's why in my mind I was like, I know this format is fun and I know I can do it and do it justice. Love the graphics, fork mic, and your humorous style. Just well done all around. Thank you so much, Cinnamon. Boo, you can never be too over the top. Facts. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm still, like, pretty over the top. What I did in that first, like, good vegan news, here I am not being able to say this word again, in the, first good vegan news in the newscaster format, I was, like, really over to the top with the newscaster cadence where, like, everything I said was like, "And da 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 da, da 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 da," and it was just, like, everything was so exaggeratedly like that. I think to, like, maybe a little too much, so that's what I've toned down, but I've still kept, like, the humor and, silliness. The comedic vibe definitely works well with the positive news stories. I think so too. And I think that, yeah, in terms of why good vegan news is working so well now versus a few years ago, unfortunately, it probably has to do with the fact that the world in general has become like life has become harder, things have become worse in the world, and I think people are more in need of good news than ever before, especially in, like, I don't know, with the vegan movement. It sort of kind of always feels like it's like two steps forward, one step back, sort of. So for me, focusing on the steps forward, I think is beneficial. Um, Yeah, because a lot of times, like, depending what media outlet you're looking at or what social media platform you're on, it can just seem like everything is negative and there's never anything good happening. The head turns. Is that something I do in the good vegan news? Um, I'm over street arguing videos. Yeah, I you were oh, yeah, okay, sorry. I'm thinking of because I was thinking of, like, my how I said I did an on the street segment on my old channel, but it wasn't really arguing, but I get what you're saying. You're talking about, like, specific vegan content. Zach, thank you so much. Thank you, Zach. Hang on, I need to get a fork. I just texted Paul, "Bring me a fork?" Question mark. Thank you so much, Zach. Really appreciate you. Ooh, I can heart your gift and I can like it. Every time I come on a live stream, the format changes slightly. Um, let me see if I have a fork. Hang on. Sometimes I have a fork laying around from when I do my good vegan news videos, but Paul will bring me one eventually. Um, and we'll do my what is this called? Is this called a super? I think when someone gives you a gift, it's called a super, technically. It's a weird name for it though, like a super, because I think it's like a super thanks. I don't know. Um, just channel Ron Burgundy when I can't see that because the heart's in the way. When doing good vegan news and maybe do a British accent episode. You guys really want a British accent. Actually, one of the people that sort of inspired good vegan news was, or the newscaster format, um, was this British influencer named Venetia Lamana, and she does a lot of, like, anti-fast fashion activism. You won't be on camera. Come here. Producer Paul in the clutch. Thanks, Bambi. Producer Paul, he got the message. Okay, Zach, here we go. Never gets old. Could always those ends could always use a good detangling. And we're gonna eat dinner with this later. Um super chat, it's called. Okay, but why is it called a super chat? That doesn't really make sense either. But thanks for confirming, and thank you, Zach, for the super chat. Paul says need a bigger fork. Yeah, I've been thinking about for good vegan news. Like, I want like a comically. I want, like, a comically large fork that's, like, more the size of, like, a big newscaster microphone. So, we'll see what we can do about that, and then it'll, be better for detangling the ends. Um, what was I talking about? Oh, yeah, so I was talking about this, um, influencer named Venetia Lamana. She does a lot of, anti-fast fashion videos and different types of activism. But, she does a series on her Instagram called what is it called? But I don't know what it's called, but it's, like, very kind of, like, sassy, and she's, like, a news reporter, and she is, like, calling out different corporations, and so I kind of got some inspiration from that, and then I also got inspiration from Veep. I don't know if you guys have watched Veep, but I am so obsessed with Veep. I've watched it through I think I just watched it through for the 4th time. I just finish it and then I start it over again. I love it so much, but, the sort of acting delivery in Veep, especially with Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character of, like, saying saying total bullshit in a very confident voice. Like, I was very just inspired by the characters on that show and how they're just, like, so full of shit, but they say things so confidently. So, that was I definitely got inspired from that sort of, like, politician vibe of Veep. Still reminds me of The Little Mermaid. It really does. It really does. Ariel and Mariel. Um, has there been a time where you just couldn't find any good vegan news? Because 'Cause you're so right about one step forward, two steps back. So, that's why I don't like, as much as people are like I did a poll, um, like, soon after the first good vegan news video got a lot of views, that I was like, "How often do you want me to do this?" And I think the options were, like, once a month, twice a month, like, I don't remember what all the options were, but people wanted it, like, twice a month, or I think, like, people wanted it a lot, but I feel like if I do it more than once a month, I'm not getting as high quality stories, and I always joke about, like, I don't ever wanna have to resort to, like, Selena Gomez's new, hair care line being vegan or whatever, because so much of what gets posted, especially on places like Veg News, no shade, but a lot of times there's a lot of celebrity focus, like, "So and so just started a vegan this line, so and so" oh, we've got a little visitor. "So and so just started a vegan, that line," and I don't really consider those to be good vegan news. Here's the shark tail. Oh my god, here's the shark tail. Zach, it all came full circle. If you guys joined later in the chat, Zach, who's, like, probably my longest time subscriber who's here, his first ever comment on my video was a video where I was sitting on my bed and my cat this cat was walking past the camera, going back and forth, and, um, and her little shark tail, was just going back and forth, and Zach said, "Cue the Jaws music," and I thought that was hilarious, and I made a little edit, and I posted it on Instagram. Um, I'll try to find that, Zach, and repost it. I think I have it saved in my highlights or something, but, um, very full circle, very, very full circle. Here's the little shark herself. Um, Cinnamon, I want it in a IV every day. The good vegan news. She bites like a shark. That cat gets worshipped in this household, I'll tell you. True, true. Um, but yeah, Samuel, to go back to your question, I always worry about that. I actually posted a behind the scenes video of, the making of Good Vegan News on, um, Patreon, and one thing I said in that is that every time I make one, I'm always worried that I'm not gonna find good stories, and or that I'm not gonna think of anything funny to say about the stories. And I think that's pretty relatable to a lot of creators or creative people. You always worry that, like, it's you can't mentally, like, you can't ever ensure future creativity. You just have to have faith that it will be there. I was listening to some podcast, and like very famous comedian, like I think it was maybe Conan O'Brien or something, and someone asked like, um, do you are you ever worried that you're never going to think of another joke again? And he was like, oh yeah, all the time. I constantly worry about that every day. So I do think it's very common. But yeah, thankfully I have found some really good sources that I always get good stories from. And I will say it is not veg news. No shade to veg news, but yeah, I usually have faith that I'm going to find good stuff. Hello, Bo. Thank you for the congrats. I have been subbed about a year now, and the first video of yours I saw was the one on Aubrey Plaza's Got Milk commercial. Nice. I would have thought you had been subscribed for even longer. I feel like I've seen you commenting for a long time. But then again, some people like watch my videos and comment but aren't subscribed, because sometimes I'm not subscribed to someone, but I see their videos pop up and I watch them, but I'm not subscribed. YouTube keeps showing them to me. But speaking of YouTubers, maybe I can talk about, because people have asked if I watch vegan YouTubers and or what channels I watch. So I've shared this before that I don't really watch other vegan YouTube channels. I think it's hard for content creators to watch other people in their same niche, because then you tend to compare yourself to them, or it can like mess with your own creativity for your own channel. That is, that's the case for me. Before I started Totally Forkable, I did used to watch Unnatural vegan. There I go again. Can't say it. I used to watch Unnatural Vegan maybe in like 2017, 2018. I discovered her channel and I liked her videos where she was like calling people out, like little sort of like inter YouTube drama. I just found them entertaining, and I'm trying to think who else I used to watch back in the day. Not really many other vegan channels. Now, every now and then, like I'll still watch an Unnatural Vegan video every now and then. Maybe I'll watch an Earthling Ed video every now and then. I really like Earthling Ed. I mean, I did my latest Patreon video, I reacted to a bunch of YouTube shorts from different vegan YouTubers. So it was Unnatural Vegan, Earthling Ed, Edgy Veg, and Fully Raw Christina. I think those were the four. And some of them that I watched from Ed, I was just really impressed by him, and I was reminded of like, oh yeah, he's amazing. That's why people love his channel and love hearing him speak. And I'm sure his books are great. He has a very, reasonable, and he just has a very effective way of communicating. Has anyone recognized you from YouTube out in the real world? That's a really good question. So it's very funny. It happened once, and it happened when I had 300 subscribers, which is so just crazy. It was the day that I went to Chloe Coscarelli, Chef Chloe's cooking event at Plant City. So she did a cooking class at Plant City, and I went with my dad, and I actually vlogged that day. So there's a video of that on my channel. And I was walking into Plant City, and there was this guy like kind of walking up to the door, like around the same time as me. And he kind of kept looking at me. And I was like, why is this guy looking at me? And like, I kind of thought it was just like, oh, we're both approaching the door at the same time. So he's just kind of seeing like, who's going to go ahead. And then I opened the door and I held it for him. And then he was like, this is going to sound so weird, but do you have a YouTube channel? And I was like, "Yeah, I do." Like, I was just like, "What? This can't be. He can't be thinking it's me. Like, he must be thinking of someone else." He's like, "I watch your channel." He's like, "I was just watching one of your videos. In fact, I just commented on it." And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Yeah," like, and he introduced himself. His name is Dan. He used to be he subscribed. He used to comment a lot on my videos. And we used to like communicate on Instagram. I haven't heard from him in a while, but yeah, he recognized me from Totally Forkable, and I just can't believe that when I had 300 subscribers, someone recognized me. So shout out Dan if you end up seeing this. Um, let's see. Samuel says, I was going to ask you about Unnatural Vegan. People ask me about Unnatural Vegan a lot. They're like, what are your thoughts on Unnatural Vegan? I think she is quite a controversial YouTuber, a vegan YouTuber, I think for a few different reasons. I won't go into the drama. I will also say there is kind of like a strategy, if you will, on YouTube of like starting drama with other YouTubers. And I think sometimes, like in the case of Unnatural Vegan, William says, I used to love watching drama videos between Freely and Unnatural Vegan. Same. Sometimes I think it's for a good reason, like for a good um cause, like when she's calling out something that is, really irresponsible that another creator is doing, or like someone's putting out dangerous dietary information. But then there's also people that are just like, I'm going to start drama with other creators just to try to get people to click on my videos. And I will just say I do not subscribe to that, school of thought or way of thinking. Um, Uluwali Blue Vegan says unnatural, not vegan. I'm curious why you say that. Um, it is the biggest nice guy vegan I've ever seen. I feel like you're, I feel like it's like biggest nice guy vegan in parentheses derogatory. Oh, I got a shark bite. I got a shark bite. Okay. A shark attacked me. I'm curious what you mean by that. Hey, Chris, welcome. Um, yeah, I don't know. So yeah, I was watching some of their stuff recently. I've watched Edgy Veg before. I was saying this in the Patreon video where I reacted that I really like her. Like I like her vibe. I like that she's kind of sassy and opinionated and not afraid to give her opinion. I think like when I started Totally Forkable, my sort of general sense with vegan YouTubers, obviously excluding Unnatural Vegan, is that it was just very like everyone's just like nice and like da da da. And like I was just kind of bored watching a lot of the content. And I was like, there needs to be more sassiness. Like I want more sassiness. And so that was something that I definitely wanted to bring to my channel because I felt like it was kind of maybe a bit lacking in the vegan YouTube world. And like I don't think now there's a lot of different types of vegan YouTubers now, but that's sort of what my impression was back then. Cinnamon says, what's for dinner tonight? Good question. We have been doing purple carrot. So we've got a purple carrot meal. So it's either going to be, I think, like avocado quesadillas or some type of fried rice. I think we're going to do the fried rice. Callie and Dasari, welcome. What's your opinion on militant vegans like Tash Pearson? I know who you're talking about. Yeah, so Tash Pearson is like purple carrot elote. We did get a couple elote dishes this week. How do you know that? I first heard about Tash Pearson because I did a video last summer about the Australian chef that banned vegans from his restaurant. And I guess Tash and him had a clash. Tash had a clash. And that is her like MO, I guess, is she's very she does these kind of like stunts almost, or like these protests that are very I don't know how to describe them. Like, if any of you guys want to help me out, feel free. But they're very like loud, attention I don't wanna say attention seeking, like, attention grabbing protests. Like, I think she's done things where she's, like, naked or in a bikini or things like that, um, and people seem to have it like the general public, I would say, kind of have a negative opinion of her. Um, Honestly, I haven't seen enough of her activism, like, stunts or the things she's done to really have an opinion. Um, I don't know, I kind of feel like with activism I've talked about this with Sky before on his channel because 'cause I've talked about, like, PETA and PETA's approach and kind of, like, what I think about it, but I feel like different forms of activism are effective for different types of people. So, for some people, maybe that, like, works really well. I do think that, like, being out in with the public and interacting with the public can be a very effective form of activism. I think that, Elwood's Dog Meat does a great job with that. I did a video also last summer reacting to an activism video that Vegan Gaze did, another vegan channel. Shout out to her. She's another small vegan YouTube channel. Um, so I like the concept of interacting with the public. I feel like sometimes with the types of activism like that Tash does, it I think sometimes people might perceive that as just like anger, and then people don't maybe always respond well to that. Um, like people don't always respond well to a confrontational energy. Um, but then again, like I said, it could be effective for different types of people, or it could have a positive effect, a net positive effect. And I don't know. Those are my thoughts. But let me know what you guys think. Um, Purple carrot elote. I work at a food co-op. We sell that one, but none of the others. Oh yeah, the elote is like a frozen thing that you can buy in the store. Um, but no, we do their meal kit service where they send you a meal kit and you put together. Confrontational, though, yeah, that's a good word for it. Shock activism, that's another phrase for it. Um, the microwavable frozen bowls are different to the meal kit. I love how we have we have two different threads going on, like shock activism and purple carrot. Um, Kellyanne says, Unnatural Vegan says she is damaging for the movement. I don't know if I'd go that far. I don't know. What big vegan documentaries, films have you watched slash enjoyed? Um, just to wrap up on the Tash Peterson thing, I don't, or Peterson, is that her name? Tash Peterson? Um, I yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I'd call it damaging to the movement. I had a point I wanted to make. Now I can't think of it. Um, yeah, like I said, I think some people just see I don't know. I guess I'm very curious about what's effective. Like when I think about activism, I think like, is this effective or is it just making vegans feel good that we're like out here doing the thing? You know what I mean? And like I said, I haven't really seen just things that I've seen. I haven't seen something be so effective as the Elwood's dog meat campaign. Um, just seeing how people responded to it and seeing how people reacted to it and just like the realizing their own cognitive dissonance. So yeah, I think we have to look at how effective it is, but also I think like anyone going out there and trying and putting themselves out there, um, I don't think we can say that they're damaging, right? Because like they care. We like it's important to see people giving a shit enough to be like, I'm gonna get naked in the street, you know. Okay, so what big vegan documentaries, films have you watched, enjoyed? And hi, extropian transhuman. Oh my god, I'm around. It's crickets. LOL. Welcome. You made it. We've been here. We've been here since 5 p.m. EST. Many non-vegans want vegans to shut up, be quiet, and not talk about the animals. I appreciate that Tash refuses to do that. I doubt she's changing the minds of people right in front of her, but they're not the only audience. That's a really good point, and I agree with that. Yeah, there like I said, there is something to someone being like, "No, I'm not gonna shut up," and like, "No, I'm being brave." Like, so many vegans are afraid to even say the words "I'm vegan" to people in their lives who, because they don't wanna, like, rock anyone, rub anyone the wrong way or, like, make anyone feel defensive. Um, I just spilled. Vegan documentaries, so I personally for myself, being vegan, being a very sensitive person, I can't watch graphic animal torture footage. And so I haven't seen um what is it? The big one. Um why can't I think the name? But I have literally watched the trailer and like when it came out, I tried to watch the trailer and had a nervous breakdown. Earthlings? No, not Earthlings. What's the more recent one that everyone's like Dominion? Yes, thank you. Um yeah, I tried to watch the trailer when it first came out and like I said, watched like I don't even know how much, maybe like a minute, had a nervous breakdown, had to turn it off, was like sobbing. Um and I don't think yeah, I mean I have a lot of thoughts on that, like just in I don't think that that's necessarily for vegans, and if you are vegan and you don't wanna watch that stuff, I don't think you have to. Um, how do you know someone's vegan? They'll tell you the unfunniest thing ever. It is, and can I also admit something to you guys? Cop into it, admitting it. I said that to a vegan once when I was vegetarian. So, I think it was, like, in 2014, 15. I had been vegan previously. I went back to being vegetarian. I hadn't gone back to being vegan yet. Probably, if I'm being honest, was feeling some guilt about it. And there was a girl I worked with at a restaurant who was vegan and like she went vegan and it was just like boom, like she was so loud about it. She was so like angry and like don't you see and we worked in a French restaurant so it was like very tough for her like because a lot of animal basically everything on the menu were animal foods and anyway and like looking back I'm like girl good for you like you you were like standing in your truth and speaking up for the animals and I really admire that and we still communicate but I saw that joke online like I saw a meme that was like how do you know someone's vegan they'll tell you and I genuinely thought it was funny like I genuinely thought it was funny and then I told it to her like, as if she was gonna think it was funny, and then she kinda was like, "Yeah." And then, like like, a while later, I saw that she posted on her Instagram a meme that was like, "How do you know someone's vegan? Don't worry, that" and then it was, like, someone coming in and, like, punching the person in the face and being like, "That's because the animals are suffering and you need to speak up for them," and I was like, "Oh, dear." She did not like that joke, but anyway, guys, people can change. That's the point. I had someone, one of the patrons on the Discord said that he used to be one of the like, but bacon though people before he was vegan. So I like hearing stories like that because like, boy, we can come a long way. Um, Climate activists do the same thing. And the only one who gets hate for it is vegans doing the same thing on roads. Vegans are going against their way to criticize her. So that's a really good point. Climate activists do very like disruptive stunts and things like that. I mean, I think the big obvious distinction is that people are threatened by the message that vegans bring because it literally like threatens their, ability to eat the foods that they love. So, yeah, I think that's a really good point. I haven't heard much, like, criticism of her. I don't know. I'm out of the loop, I guess, on her. I haven't heard, too much of the discourse on her. Let's see. Best direction rather what doesn't work. My fave documentary is the Forks Over Knives 2 Engine 2. I don't know if I've seen that. I will get back to documentaries. They're a really hard watch. I've seen several, but I don't think I can watch Pignorant. Something about terrified screaming pigs really gets me. Nope, nope. The screaming can't. Will haunt my dreams for years. During my last onboarding, this is Paul, my boyfriend. During my last onboarding at a previous job, my coworker asked me if I was vegan, then months later made a joke that I willingly told her and made a joke about it. She asked me, oh my God, that's so lame. I mean, I know the situation firsthand, but yeah. Yeah, exactly. A lot of times, like, it's like, don't worry, it'll come. People will tell you, but it's like, no, it just comes up. It just comes up naturally because as humans, we're obsessed with food and we talk about food all the time. This is something that I have noticed over the years. Humans talk about food. That's one of our favorite topics. And so when you meet someone and maybe you don't know them very well, and like it doesn't take long for the conversation to turn to food. And there's some, oftentimes gets to a certain point where you have to just be like, well, no, I don't eat that. I'm vegan. Um, I was thinking about the pignorant one. That's probably going to be some of the hardest. Was that the one that was that the one? No, it was a different one that Joaquin Phoenix and the Mara sisters were trying to get people to watch and they were going to like pay them to watch it. There was one about the North Carolina hog farm situation, like that like horrifying situation, like ongoing situation that my mom actually watched and was like telling me about. It was very strange. My mom is not vegan at all, very kind of resistant to the idea, but my mom watched this documentary and was telling me about it, which was very interesting. Um, have you seen Okja? I have seen Okja. I have to be honest, I really didn't like it. I was very disturbed by it, and I get that that's the point, but it was recommended to me and Paul by one of Paul's friends, who was like, "Oh my god, you love it." Like, "Oh my god, it's great. Oh my god, it's like amazing film." And so I guess I was thinking that it would be a little bit more of a happy film than it was, and I was just like I said, so disturbed by it. Like I said, I know that's the point, but I hated what's his name? Jake Gyllenhaal's character in that movie. Like, I know he's supposed to be evil, but I was just like, I can't stand watching him. Like, it's not in a way of like, ooh, like Voldemort is like so creepy, but he's like played so well that it's like a villain, but you're like drawn to him. No, I hated the Jake Gyllenhaal character. I hated how they like, made the vegan activist group, like they made the lead guy be like an asshole and like abusing the other members of his group. And then I also like I think a lot of vegans think of that as like a vegan film, but then I was reading that the director like it wasn't not only that they were like they had meat on set as part of like they served people meat on set. And so it was just like what is the point of this? But I've also heard a lot of people say that they had like major realizations after watching it and like changed their lifestyle and like I think a lot of people became vegan or vegetarian after watching it. So I definitely appreciate it for that, but I didn't enjoy it. Shout out to Colburn Clark campaigning against Cash Restaurant with foie gras. I don't know about that one, but I think that's great. Fuck foie gras. I created a whole non-documentary vegan movie playlist because I feel Bambi really got too many to go in a vegan direction. That's a good point. Pignorant hits hard. Sometimes that's needed. It's with Rip Esselstyn, the one you're talking about. I recently found a book called Meat Hooked. I've heard of that. It does a deep dive on why people are so attached to eating animal meat. Would you recommend it, Zach? When people ask me what I eat as a vegan, I tell them I strictly live on LSD and distilled water. So you troll the trolls, Cinnamon. I'm glad the movie was made. Most people have no idea where their bacon comes from and they need to be educated. Probably too much for me to watch, though. I agree. Me too, but I realized what to call it in the end. That was a very annoying character, the Jake Gyllenhaal, right? I thought it was decent. You thought that it was decent as a movie. We are smart enough to know how smart animals are. Franz de Waal book I was looking at yesterday. Yeah, there's a lot of books that I'd be curious to read. There's what's her name? Melanie Joy, I think. I've been threatening to read her books for years. I have heard her on I heard her on the Chick Peeps podcast, and just so much of what she said really resonated with me. But she has books about sort of like the interrelations between vegans and the non-vegans in their lives, and how to navigate them, and like why these relationships can be so fraught, especially when it comes to the topic of veganism. And so I've always been really curious to read her books. So those are probably top of my list. Is Chicken Run on your vegan movie playlist? I love that film so much. LOL. Yes, I'd be surprised to see a movie that's not on my list. I mean, pretty much every Disney movie, right? There's that meme that's um, like in Finding Nemo, like they're running whatever they're running away from, and then in in Chicken Run when they're running away, and then it's like at a certain point you realize that we're the monsters that they're running away from. Um, and it is really interesting that Disney movies are kind of such vegan propaganda in that way, and yet I don't think most people who watch Disney movies get that at all. Like, I've never heard of someone be like, "Oh, yeah, I became vegan after watching Finding Nemo or Chicken Run." I'm sure those people exist, but Zach, you say Meat Hooked is a good book. Brought up points I never thought about before, like how killing a mammoth was not the easiest way to get food, but a way to show off. Interesting. Um, yeah, there's so I don't know. There is so much about like the psychology of how people see food and how they think about meat. There's actually, I think I'm going to do it for next week's video. There was an article in the New York Times about beans, and it was really interesting, but it kind of talked about like the psychology of how we view foods and why that's such a barrier for some people. Charlotte's Web was something I used to hear made people vegetarian. Hear it less so now. Yeah, there was that the famous story of the actor James Cromwell going vegan after being in Charlotte's Web. Was it Charlotte's Web? Was that? And now he's a vegan activist, and he's fucking incredible. Speaking of vegan movie playlists, anyone else here grown whenever a movie or show has a vegan character, they go out of their way to make them seem stupid, crazy, mentally unstable? Absolutely. Extremely cringy. Babe the pig. That's what it was. I guess I kind of thought that they were the same story. I thought Babe was a character in the Charlotte's Web universe. No? Is that not true? Charlotte's Web is the good one. I grew up on the 70s version. I don't know if I've ever seen it. But I guess I never really answered the person's question about vegan documentaries or movies. I watched What the Health, right? That one came out in like 2017. And I watched What the Health, The Game Changers, of course. Like, I guess I watched the ones that a lot of people like. I watched them, I'm like, this was great. And then like there's like 1,000 video essays on YouTube about like why they were trash, and like even like Unnatural Vegan being like, this movie, this documentary was terrible. But I'm like, I liked it. I don't know. There's a movie about a vegan barista. Interesting. There was what was I watching? Wasn't I watching something recently and there was a vegan character? I forget. There's been a few things I've watched recently where there's just been like a vegan character, but it hasn't been a big deal. But of course, it's like they're never going to bring up a vegan character and not have it be part of the plot line somehow. You know what I mean? So I feel like there is always going to be some of like, oh, you served them meat, but they're vegan and you made this faux pas. I don't know. I feel like there's always going to be a reason that they let you know a character is vegan. But it would be great if we got to a point where vegans just exist in media without it having to be like overly explained. Yeah. Any news about Game Changers 2? I didn't realize that was in the works. I thought Babe Charlotte the same too. Glad I'm not the only one. Same with the Kung tribe in Africa, where most of the nutrients was from mongongo nuts. Did I say that right? Meat was a third of the calories gained, but requires more effort to get, equals more calories burned, so less net. Interesting. Um, Less net benefit compared to gathering. Coffee Wars, have not seen it yet. Is that a documentary? Yeah, I didn't know Game Changers 2 was coming. Moana has a good message. Yes, I was thinking of Moana, Zach. Moana has a good message when her pig friend calls her out for eating pork without saying a word. Yes, but Paul and I, when we watched Moana together, and we like really groaned and rolled our eyes at that part because it was sort of like I thought that was interesting, really interesting that they did that. Basically, if people haven't seen Moana, she has a pig companion, like this little pig that like he's her little companion, like Flounder and Ariel. Um, and I don't know why this gets brought up, but it's something where she's there and the pig's with her, and then she says something like, I love bacon. And then the pig goes, and looks at her and like makes this sad face, and she goes, "Oh, I mean, no, I don't. What's over there?" And it's just this like stupid, like it's just weird. Like I'm like, wait, why would Moana love bacon if her best friend is a pig? And like, yeah, it was interesting. It was like it was a moment where they're calling her out or like they were acknowledging it, but then she's being really flippant about it and not being like, "Oh wait, you're right." Like, "Oh, I'm going to stop eating that." Like there's not like a lesson learned. She just kind of like, look over there." And so I was like, "What lesson is that teaching kids to just be like don't be empathetic, like don't think about your pig friend or something?" Um Manthos Coffee Wars is a regular movie. Sounds pretty bad. I haven't even heard about it. So, oh, thank you. Someone's liking. Thanks, guys. If you give the stream a thumbs up, it helps. I don't know what it helps with, but it helps. Anyway, does anyone have any other questions, thoughts, concerns? Same with Xenon, Girl of the 21st Century. Oh my god, you're speaking my language. First of all, I fucking love Xenon Girl of the 21st Century, where she lives on a space station that has no animal products, and then she likes the burger at the end. I specifically remember this part of Xenon, which, guys, if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. It was a Disney Channel original movie, which basically I was raised on, and they're all on Disney Plus. But it's this incredible movie about this 13-year-old girl who lives on a space station. It's supposed to be, I think, like 2034 or 2050 or something. But then she has to go to Earth for some reason, and so she's like she's discovering things for the first time, and one thing she said, like there's a scene where she's eating just like some junk food with someone, and then she's like, up in space we don't have this stuff, like such and such and little piggies, and she like pokes at the bacon on the guy's plate. She's like, we don't have that. And so that moment always kind of stood out to me, even as a kid who wasn't vegan or vegetarian. um People do have animals they eat as pets. Yeah, some people just have kind of like psychopath vibes. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. But when I see these homesteader types on Instagram and they're like, we do, and then we have our rabbits, and then we have to, and then they never call it killing. Of course not. They call it processing. And then we have to process them. It's never easy, but it is necessary because it's how we get our food. I'm just like, you literally like should probably see someone because I don't know. I could go really off, but I'll just say that I find that quite disturbing when people do that. Um, Interesting. I didn't think about Moana that way. I just thought it was good to remind kids where pork comes from. True. That is, um, I could definitely see that sparking a conversation of someone like planting a seed in a kid's mind. I'm a 90s kid, same. Reminds me of sanctuaries that host BBQs. Yeah, what the hell? Wait, do actual sanctuaries do that? I feel like there's a line between sanctuaries and sort of like petting zoo type of places, and I feel like the general public are not good at discerning the two. So I always tell people look at their Instagram bio, and if it doesn't say 501c3 animal sanctuary, don't go. Don't give them money. Um, at least they tried to be futuristic and vegan oriented. They say the future is vegan pretty much. I agree. And now you've inspired me that I need to do a Xenon rewatch, and I'll see if I can get Paul to join me. Maybe an idea for a video. How evil characters in movies are often seen as eating a lot of meat or even being carnivores, hunters, etc. It's almost like on some level people know this isn't right. That's interesting. Bo, can you think of any examples? I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I'm sure they exist. I mean, other than an obvious one like 101 Dalmatians. Never heard of Xenon. I'll check it out. I remember you brought Braceface to my attention. Yes, guys, Braceface was a cartoon in the early 2000s, like maybe like the year 2000, on a channel that was called Fox Family. And then it was called ABC Family, and then it was called Freeform. But back when it was Fox Family, they had all this amazing programming. That's where S Club 7 was on. If you guys remember that, big throwback. And they had the show called Braceface that was produced and voiced. The main character was voiced by Alicia Silverstone, and the character was vegetarian. And I think that, and it was kind of like a big part of the show. And I think that's when like one of my first exposures to the concept of vegetarianism, or at least definitely something that like made me be like, I want to try that. I want to be like Sharon. Yep, processing, harvesting deers. Yeah, exactly. Like they're vegetables. Exactly. It's sick. And then we harvest their hearts humanely, like literal fucking serial killer. Circle of nature, nature of life. Oh my God. Can you react to Ariana Grande or Billie Eilish Hot Ones episode? I thought about doing that. I'd love to do that. You don't have to ask me twice to get some field roast fruffalo wings and gleefully eat them while reacting to a video. Those are my favorite kind of videos to make. So I'd be happy to. But which one would you rather see? I watched part of the Ariana Grande one. There was something interesting that they mentioned about the vegan wings in that one, but I haven't seen the Billy. The Billy one is more of like, it's like a battle between her and Phineas, right? I believe in plant sanctuaries more than animal sanctuaries because animal sanctuaries are built into plant ones. Animal sanctuaries tend to take the burden of carnist wrongdoers. Interesting. Let's see. It's been a long time. Trying to think of an example. Yeah, let me know if you think of one. CDA activism. Yo, yo, yo. Hey, welcome. Making it in. Making it in on the tail end of the stream. The wild thornberries. I love the wild thornberries. I loved that generation of Nickelodeon cartoons. Sure was vegan oriented. I mean, Debbie tended to really avoid animals because it was gross, and they were very educational about animals and acknowledged their consciousness. Yeah, I fucking loved that show. Relieve the burden of anyone's failings. It should be vegans to make it easier for them to be vegan. I'm not really sure what you mean. Extropian transhuman. Any more general book, movie, TV recs? We're talking about vegan ones. Let's see. Post here something. So, I don't know, guys. Any other like vegan books or movies that you can think of? Like I said, I'm gonna check out Melanie Joy. There's a few books that people have given me that I'd like to read. Just need to carve out the time. What did we talk about? We talked about a lot of things, mostly my YouTube journey. Um, I mean, I can tell you guys what channels I do watch since I mentioned that earlier that I don't watch many vegan channels, but you guys know I'm really into figure skating, competitive figure skating. There's a few figure skating channels I watch. There's one called The Skating Lesson. Highly recommend them for just like general chat about the figure skate, like the world of competitive figure skating. The season is starting back up in like basically now. I'm thinking of starting a new account on Instagram just to talk about figure skating because I just want to like post about it and get people excited about it leading up to the 2026 Olympics. Um, and I just watch random channels, some like vlog channels. Um, I mentioned Venetia Lamana earlier. I really like her YouTube channel. I've been watching her YouTube channel for a long time. She's vegan and she is married to Max Lamana, he was like a big Instagram Reels creator. Um, Nina, you say Ariana Grande's episode of Hot Ones is pretty good. All right. Maybe that's the one I'll react to. I mean, I will happily do that. I like to try to do Hot Ones reactions pretty close to when they came out. So I don't know if it's too late now, but um okay, this is what you were trying to say earlier. It's hard to explain, but if an animal ag producer doesn't have issues with their industry because rescuers take on the costs, then animal ag makes a greater profit to keep doing poorly. All while rescuers take on the burdens and lose money when it should be the other way around. I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. It's like maybe not so far removed from the conversation about like buying non-vegan goods secondhand, like leather purses and whatever. I mean, I don't know. I don't really know if it's that closely related though. Elliot Davies, Totally Forkable. Woo, you're still streaming. Yay. I got the notification, then got distracted. Well, you'll have a lot to catch up on because I've been on for almost 2 hours. You understand me? Yes, you get it. It really is related. It's an interest. I have to say, I've never thought of it that way before, but you've given me some food for thought. I don't know, guys. Another like big genre of YouTube videos I watch are videos about Nintendo games. Very not, very much not having to do with veganism. I, um, I was really obsessed with the game Breath of the Wild in the Zelda series. And then Tears of the Kingdom came out, and I was very disappointed by it. So I watch a lot of videos of people critiquing Tears of the Kingdom because I like seeing like what other people didn't like about the game that I also didn't like, and I like just like hearing people's critiques because it helps me feel less alone, and like there's more people who didn't like the game, and I just find it interesting to like see other people's perspectives. So those are like the main genres of videos I watch. It's like figure skating videos, Nintendo, specifically Nintendo videos, and sometimes random vlog channels and whatnot. Totally Forkable. Well, are you planning to stream for much longer? If so, we'll go back to the start, catch up 2 times to catch up. If not, I shall catch up another time. Probably going to be ending soonish. Got a dit. Congratulations on the milestone. Thanks, Chris. I love how you guys all like know each other from the YouTube world, I'm guessing. But yeah, I think I kind of I think we went over everything that I wanted to discuss today. I wanted to let you guys know if you didn't know, or remind you that I have Patreon. I started it 4 months ago at this point, I think. So if you want to check it out, it's patreon.com/totallyforkable. Very easy to remember. And at this point, I feel like it's a good time to join if you are interested, because there's like months and months worth of content to catch up on. So at this point, there's 4 videos, and I'm about to post my 5th podcast episode. I do these like voice note podcast episodes where I'm just like sharing different thoughts on different topics. And I think people have really been liking those. I've been having a lot of fun doing those. You can get Discord access and there's other perks too. So check that out if you're interested. Patreon.com/totallyforkable. Easy to remember. A friendo, sup fools, sup. They're in the other live streams. I think I've seen them in Chef AJ's. I see. Vegan demi-monde? I don't know what that means. What does that mean? Bedtime here. Nice. But just sub to your Patreon. Congrats to 558. William, thank you so much, William. I'll keep working on that British accent and maybe maybe by the next live stream. Also, at some point, I'm planning on doing patron only live streams. Probably not for a few more months, but that will be coming at some point. So I will continue working on my dialects. I think I have a question. Go ahead. Also bedtime, but I'm on a couch. You guys must be, well, William, if you're in England, must be 5 hours ahead. I almost said 5 years ahead. Thanks for the thumbs up, Zach. Are you going to the PCRM event in New York coming up in October? I didn't know about it, but I'll look into it. I've heard that they've been doing events and people have been telling me they've been going. So that's cool. Maybe I'll go. Is anyone else going? Never need an excuse to go into New York. Hit up Chef Chloe's new spot. That could be fun. It's by Dr. Barnard. Yeah, I figured. I think one of my patrons, Kaylin, went to one of hers. Or her local one. I'll have to ask her how it was. But I mean, I love hearing Dr. Barnard talk. Like, I've loved hearing him on podcasts. When I had a conversation with him, I just couldn't believe how amazing he was to interview. He is a very gifted communicator. It's by Dr. Barnard. Yeah, it's to promote his Power Foods book. That makes sense. You don't live there anymore. I think it's free. Yeah, I think they've been doing free events, which is really cool. But maybe I have to like register or something. I really hope a lot of people read that book because it's so like for me reading it, I'm like, I definitely learned a lot and I enjoyed it, but I'm like, oh my God, there's so many people that this could really help. Like specifically all the people who are currently like shelling out thousands of dollars on Ozempic and just like people who are crash dieting and people who are just like trying to lose weight and nothing works. Like this book could really help people. And I hope that it will reach the right people because like the state of our society in regards to diet culture is really kind of scary to me and disturbing. Dr. Barnard is very articulate and a surprisingly good French speaker. I have heard that. Maybe you're the one who told me that. And he also was in a rock band, right? In the 80s, like a pretty well-known rock band, if I recall correctly. He's amazing. Saturday, October 5th, 2024, New York Symphony Space. Nice, 2 p.m. Eastern. All right, I'll look into it. I'll look into if I have to register. I'm guessing you probably would have to register. I know about the rock band. Which one? I don't know. I think it's on his Wikipedia because I think someone told me about it. And then I looked into it and I saw, photos. Sorry, I copy pasted from my personal website. It came out squeezed. No worries. I could read it. But yeah, thanks for telling me about that. Coach, not a couch, as in kind of like a bus, but for long journeys. Nice. Where are you going to or from, if you don't mind my asking? But yeah, guys, we got through all the topics. I hope you guys found this interesting. an interesting, like, backstory. I'm glad this will be here now for anyone who answer or who asks me about, like, have you had channels before and how, how many years have you been doing YouTube and why did you name your channel Totally Forkable? Now all of that information will live right here. Um, and I'll be adding time codes later for people who want to catch up. I'll probably add them maybe tonight or tomorrow, but there will be time codes eventually. Um, his Wikipedia page says Pop Meru, Verdun, and Carbon Works. So multiple bands from England to the Netherlands. That's fucking awesome. How long of a journey is that? Oh man, I miss that sort of or I yearn for that sort of European ability to get from one place to another so easily. I've been recording the Patreon voice note episodes and um or my next episode, and one of the things I talked about is how I saw a tweet that was like, "Hey, like, dear Europeans, like, I'm so sorry that you're so annoyed with all the Americans, but you have to understand that Europe is Disneyland for Americans. Like, we fucking love it there. It has so much stuff that we don't have in America, and I'm so sorry. You're gonna just have to deal with us throughout the tourist season." So I really liked that. Um Alec Baldwin once called Barnard Eddie Van Halen with a medical degree. Is that true? What the fuck? Good old Alec Baldwin, always surprising us. Um, I don't know how long I've been subscribed nor what got me to subscribe. That's okay. Just curious. Darn, I just got here. We'll have to watch from the beginning. New subscriber for about 2 months, enjoying content. Awesome. Welcome, Alata Music. Thanks for being a subscriber. 14 hours and 50 minutes. That's not bad at all. If I got in the car for 14 hours, I would be in northern Maine, a few states away. Um, have to look into Dr. Barnard's band. I think you were talking about how you brought others toward veganism, so I'll rewatch that too. I'm not sure if are you talking to me? Europe is Disneyland for Americans, so true. Yeah, and then I was also saying that like actually Disneyland is Europe. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that Europe is Disneyland for Americans, it's that Americans love Disneyland so much because it mimics a walkable city, and we don't have those in the US, or we have like 3, and we used to have way more, and they all got destroyed. Actually, that's another YouTube genre and topic. The shark is back. That's another YouTube genre and topic that I enjoy watching is, like walkable cities types of video, like things about public transit and walkability. And it kind of makes me enraged because I'm like, wow, we really fucked up our country in the middle of the century. But I find it very interesting. You know, and I think the more people that know about it and are aware about it, the better. Um, ba, ba, ba. Let's see. Disneyland is a rare chance to walk in the US, exactly. It's like maybe the most most steps some people take in an entire year. Not just bikes. Yes, I love that channel, Not Just Bikes. Thank you for mentioning him because I really like his channel. Um, there's a guy on Twitter, the transit guy, I think is his handle. His name is Hayden, but he is sort of like the king of sort of like transit talk on Twitter, I think. Um, I watch Climate Town and Strong Towns and City Beautiful channels. Yes, the Strodes, LOL. Yes, I know. I know all about the Strodes. Um, all right, guys. Well, I think did you go to Disneyland much when you were in LA? I went a couple times. Which I'm glad I did. I had a friend who worked there, so he got me in for free or like for very discounted, and then he knew all the little tips and tricks. That's actually another genre, believe it or not, of videos I've been watching on YouTube. I have basically no interest in like going to Disneyland, Disney World. I really have no interest in going, but I've been enjoying watching like Disney review videos of people like talking about different parts of the park and where they stay and like the Disney cruises. I think there's a channel called Bright Sun Travels that I've been watching. Again, no interest really in doing that, but very fascinated just to like watch this guy's reviews. It's just like an escapism of something that I really have no interest in doing, but I find it interesting to watch. I feel like there's a bit of a crossover between vegans and walkable city enjoyers. True, because it's like, people that want the world to be a better place. Makes sense. Well, Epcot might be more up your alley, maybe. They have a living with the land ride. Isn't that there's like a safari ride or something, which seems very dubious on many levels. Um, it's all about hydroponics, aeroponics, etc. But I get there's an aquaponic part. Lots of ponics. All right, guys. I think I got to get this purple carrot dinner on the road. Um, it was so fun having you guys all here. Thank you guys for being here. Thanks for helping me ring in 5,000 subscribers. We'll probably be at 6,000 before we know it, and then hopefully 10,000 not long after that. Appreciate you guys so much. Truly, like some of my subscribers, some of the long time subscribers, especially Zach, Tamara, just a few like really long time subscribers I can think of. I was thinking about how like in the early days of my channel, like people like that and like other people who were more active earlier in my channel, were truly what kept me going and like truly what kept me uploading videos, because sometimes it can be hard to be like, what am I what am I uploading a video for? Like, I'm not sure if anyone even cares or is going to watch. But then I would think about people like Zach or Tamara and like other, like I said, other people that were really active on my channel back then, and be like, but I want to hear what they have to say about this topic and they probably would enjoy this. And so I'm going to upload it for them essentially. Like, and so much gratitude. And now I definitely feel like there's so many people that enjoy my videos and that would be sad if I didn't upload one, or would, want to see my take on certain things. So that is just a big thank you for all of you. And I'll do one last chat catch up. I'm getting very tongue tied. Let's see. True that, can attest, walk all over the darn place, especially when in a new place. Thanks for the live. Enjoy dinner. Thank you. Bye, Elliot. Bye, Nina. Bye, friendo. Later, fools. Alata music. Cheers, Totally Forkable. Hope to catch another live. Wishing you much growth. Thank you so much. Next live will probably be in the fall, which will be a much happier time for me weather-wise. Thanks for the stream, Elliot says. I'm subscribed. How else did I know about this stream? Yeah, probably if you saw this stream, you're probably subscribed. A million, love your videos. Thanks for all the hard work making them. You are so welcome. Thank you for the support. I want to know about veganism in Connecticut. We'll save that for another time. John says you're so welcome. Welcome, no worries. We're here for a while. Love it. JATF, thank you. Have a good night. Thank you all again, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.